you can't close doors. You have to really be open to other things. And if you aren't having fun, you are going to quit. And if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. So if you're not getting the results you want, something has to change.
Welcome to the Strong Mind, Strong Body podcast. I'm Jenn.
And I'm Laurie. Grab your water bottle.
And grab your healthy snack, and let's go.
Welcome to Strong Minds, Strong Bodies. This week we are focusing on Free Your Mind for the Week 3 Stronger Together Challenge. We are excited to have you all with us. And this week our guest is Carol. Carol, welcome to the podcast.
Glad to be here.
I am so excited to dig into a little bit more of mental wellness and what that means in our fitness and wellness journeys. So thank you so much for coming. For those of you that do not know Carol, Carol has been part of the McGonigal Y since it has been in thought, right? Because you were there, not as an employee, but
Correct.
You were there to do a story on the McGonigal YMCA.
Correct. I was a journalist at the time.
So tell us a little bit more about you.
Okay, so I was a journalist for 20 years, a community journalist for 20 years. 3 of those years, it was more statewide. And I did cover the groundbreaking, the fundraising, everything from the Y, from the ground up. Didn't anticipate that I would actually be working there. Never even crossed my mind. That changed with a cancer diagnosis. And after that diagnosis in 2013, I went through surgery. I went through immunotherapy and treatment, and that led me to a physical therapist who told me about a cancer boot camp. And I had never, ever done a group exercise class. Never. I was a runner, did my own thing. That was all I did. When she introduced this to me, I went there, and I remember standing, actually kind of, now that I think about it, where people stand in classes when they first come, they're in the back row. I was pretty gutsy. I was up towards the front more, and it was kind of cool. I liked it, and she saw something in me that I didn't realize. She asked me at one point if I wanted to lead a class. So I decided I need to know what I'm doing, and I got my group exercise certification and started teaching there. As a journalist, it is a very stressful job. And this is a true story. There was one day I got really angry at my editor, and I said, I'm going to go apply at the Y. And I got a job as a group exercise instructor. From there, group exercise, I taught a couple classes, and then the next thing that I saw on my radar was coaching for Live Strong at the YMCA, which is a cancer support group at the Y. Being a cancer survivor, I knew I had to be doing that. Got into that. I actually thought I wasn't going to get hired for that because of my busy schedule, but I did. And I actually just finished working with the group today. So started with that, and doors just kept opening. Group exercise coordinator. And I knew I wanted to build my time at the Y because I wanted to diminish my time at the newspaper. Once we started moving forward, I decided, well, I'm going to add on. I got the group exercise coordinator job. Then I decided personal training was next on the radar. COVID came, took me 3 canceled tests because of COVID, and then they decided to do it remotely. In the meantime, I got offered more hours at the Y, and I'm literally burning the candle at both ends. And I realized I can't keep doing this. So I retired from the newspaper. And because of COVID, it took a long time for them to get a replacement, and the Y opened up. We were starting to clean things, getting back after COVID, and it was extremely exhausting. So I pushed them for an end date and started part-time at the Y. After a while of that, got my personal training certification, started training clients, and the next opportunity that opened for me was a full-time position as the fitness specialist. So I'm now working as the fitness specialist at the McGuanago YMCA. In that role, I support the fitness director, and I help with group exercise, coordination, the classes, the instructors, the rooms, everything. I help on the fitness floor. I help with the personal training. Anything the fitness director has to deal with, I will help with also.
Carol, when you talk about Group X classes and programs, which classes specifically do you teach?
My very first class that I ever taught was Boomer Boot Camp, and I still have a couple of those people that I'm connected with. I also teach bar fitness, cycle, Tai Chi. We have an adapted Tai Chi form at the Y that I teach. And I teach a couple, classes of each of those during the day.
And the healthy living section, we had the privilege of talking with Chelsea last week. She oversees the healthy living programs. What programs do you teach through the healthy living department?
Through the healthy living department, I coach Live Strong at the YMCA, and I also can coach Moving for Better Balance. And Moving for Better Balance takes 8 steps from Tai Chi, and we use those to help people create a stronger body for better balance.
So listeners, obviously Carol knows what she's talking about when it comes to fitness and mental health and mental well-being. You are able to experience and meet people where they're at when it comes to their wellness journey. When we talk this week about Free Your Mind, when you think about all of the things you've done through the Y, and not only that, but your own personal story, what does that mean to you?
I think when you're looking at freeing your mind, for me, it was being open to the possibilities before you. I didn't ever on my radar think I was going to be a group exercise instructor or even a personal trainer. But as every door opened, I walked through it. But I also think of, as I work with clients and class members, when I think of freeing your mind, I think of, getting rid of the stereotypes. Like, I'm too old to do this, or I'm too young to do that. You are capable of trying anything you want. Maybe you have to adjust it somewhat. Maybe you have to make it a little bit easier, a little bit harder, whatever. But you are, get rid of the stereotypes and do whatever you think you can do.
So that means we all should be able to do a 45-minute plank challenge.
You can build up to that. You can build up to that, sure.
For those of you that do not know, Carol has done over 45 minutes in a plank challenge, and also how many push-ups on March 12th for her birthday.
Oh, that was a few years ago. So I was like 63, I think.
Yeah, that was great. So, living testament of it doesn't matter. Just keep your mind focused, and you can do anything. Do not let age or any other barrier get in your way.
Right. I tell my classes that all the time is don't let your challenges limit you. Challenge your limits. Because if you don't keep working on being stronger, all of a sudden you're going to turn around one day and realize that you can't do a certain thing that you wanted to do. The biggest thing I hear is people have a hard time getting up off the ground from something, or maybe just carrying things up the stairs is becoming harder. And I get it. I was carrying garden hose down our stairs and tore the meniscus in one of my knees. And that's it's a long, hard road to recovery, but I didn't give up. You can ask people at the Y, because I came gimping in and they said, "Do you want a wheelchair?" I said no.
Of course not. You taught Tai Chi today.
I did.
You said that puts you in a very relaxed state of mind. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
When I teach Tai Chi, and all the people in my class will attest to it, it is the most relaxed time of my week. And we start off just grounding ourselves and centering ourselves, breathing, focusing on the breath, clearing your mind. And then we start adding in movement, and we work on balance. And we're looking at every piece of the posture from the ground up, rooting ourselves with our feet, softening our knees, lengthening our spine, opening our chest, and just being present in the moment and in that move.
Obviously, technology is always at our fingertips. We are groomed for that instant gratification, instant recognition of meeting those results that we want to get. Like, it's just immediate gratification, I guess, is what I'm getting at. in our world, we have seen that negatively impact people's mindset of where they want to go in the future with their wellness journey. Whether it's weight loss, they are not seeing the results on the scale that they want to see immediately. All the trends and fads that are out there. What is your advice to people that want that instant gratification? How do they slow down?
That is a hard one. Because, I teach cycle. And in the cycle class, we use performance IQ. So when you're signed into it, you get your feedback. But you know what? You're going to work hard. And if you're breathing heavy and you're sweating, you're following what the instructor says, you're going to get a good workout regardless of what those statistics are. I mean, yes, I get it. As far as these statistics, I am currently training for a sprint triathlon, and we rely on that. But I also look at what can my body do this day. We're supposed to do a bike ride today. It's not going to happen because my body's just not in the place to do it right now. I would just try to, really to back off on the instant gratification. Why are you working out? Is it to get those results or is it to feel good? Are you working out to become stronger or to see something that you can share on social media? Mm-hmm. And in the end of it, you want to feel good about what you've done. And no data will make that happen. I have a client who is very data-driven, and that's what drives her, and I get that. But, be sparing in your use of it. Try to back off on it a little bit. It's just you're going to feel better mentally, in my mind.
Yeah, I think so many times that we find ourselves being more stressed when it comes to comparing ourselves to that data or where we want to be. We talked in week 1 about SMART goals, making sure that they are attainable. And when we get caught up in some of those fitness trends or whatever's newly in our social media threads, we forget about those SMART goals and we just want the next best thing, right? So,
right. Well, in those fitness things that you see, you don't know how many fails they had to nail that particular exercise that they did. I see all those on Instagram, and that's all fun and well and that, but be safe and realize that took a while to get to that point. So you just have to be smart about it, I think.
I agree. That's so true. Not many people post their fails, right?
Oh, nobody does. Not very many, at least.
Right. So we talked about Free Your Mind. Before we started recording, we talked about mindfulness and how that relates. Mindfulness is something we've talked about a lot in previous Stronger Together challenges. I want to know from you, why do you think it's important to practice mindfulness in our wellness journey?
Our journey, with wellness, it goes beyond our physical body. So much of it is in our head. And actually, I had somebody come up to me at the Y today, and she just was not in a good mood because she couldn't get out of her head. We really got to start there. We got to start from the inside and work out, really. There are days when mentally I'm just not there, and maybe a walk will help me. Maybe and that clears my mind. But if you're not in a good mindset, you're probably not going to have a great workout. And by getting yourself calmed down, getting yourself centered, it helps you get better results from that workout. I've been in classes, I've taught classes where you have the people in the back row doing the same thing, not listening to the cues, just going through the motions. And then I make them all stop. Hold that position. See what it feels like. Let's go slower. And they all groan. But they also do realize that, oh, yes, that's what I should have been doing. So I encourage everybody in my classes, at least, to slow down, get it in good form, feel those muscles working the full range of the exercise. You're in that class for 45 minutes, whatever length of the class is. You're going to get a good workout. That instructor's not going to let you just sit there. If you're working out on your own, it's time under tension for the muscle. You can't, going faster isn't necessarily going to give you better results. Might give you an injury. Mm-hmm. So take your time and slow it down and be mindful about it. Think about the muscles. Think about what's happening. That's when I teach Tai Chi, I set them up from the ground up. We root through the feet. We soften the knees because in Tai Chi, you don't want to block the energy by locking a joint. And how many times do people stand around with their knees locked or their hips jutted out or something, and then they wonder why they're sore later on? So we build that strong foundation. As we go into balance work, I always tell them, root, ground, lift. And when they do that, and when they engage their core, they set their groundwork, centering their weight over that foot, they all can do a better job. So it's really important to really be mindful about your position, get your head in the game, as they say, and think about every piece of the puzzle as you go through it. If you forget one piece, something's not going to work.
You are a strong advocate for stretching after a workout. Why is that?
Because I've had so many injuries. I mean, and my injuries, honestly, have resulted somewhat, I am pretty flexible. So some of my injuries have resulted because I'm too flexible. I mean, I can get down on the ground. I can do splits, and I've torn both hamstrings. So it's not only the flexibility, because that's what's going to keep you going. That's what's going to keep you strong. That's what's going to keep those muscles working. I also have become a big proponent for mobility. Working those joints through their full range, taking your time. When I train with a client, I will literally take them through mobility work, starting from the head down. We hit the neck, we hit the shoulders, we hit the elbows, the wrists, everything. We just work our way through all the joints. Every time I do that, I always feel better. So I tell people you have to oil those joints. You have to use the motion, the movement to get them nice and mobile and lubricated, and they're going to be much happier.
Would you say that stretching and some of those mobility activities connects your mind to your workout?
It can. I've also seen people bounce through stretches, and I go, ooh, something's going to tear. But it can, and especially the mobility, because you really want to get a strong foundation for your body. Say you're working on your hips. Everything else has to be nice and strong so you can move that joint through whatever range you're able to. And again, the mindfulness, when I do shoulder work in my classes, I'll have them raise their arms up and reach back, and they're all going, oh yeah, this is good, until I challenge them to hold your body steady, reach as far back as you can, bringing your arm as close to your spine as you can. And then that's a whole different story. With my clients, I put them up against a wall so they can't rotate. They can see the limitations of their shoulder. You have to slow down, especially with the mobility, because otherwise you stand the risk of hurting something more. So really go slow and controlled through the mobility and the stretching. Just if your muscles are warm, go into it, find where it's a little tight, and breathe. I tell my classes, and especially my clients, take 3 slow inhale and exhales. And that's the shortest amount of time you want to hold that stretch. And it does 2 things. Number 1, it forces them to breathe. Number 2, it gives them a count as to how long they hold that. So don't bounce through it. Just get into that stretch. Breathe through it. The more you breathe through it, the more your muscles relax. So yes, mindfulness plays a huge part in stretching, in mobility, in being strong, in all of it.
Carol, you had the opportunity to look through some of the survey results. What resonated with you?
There was one that particularly jumped out at me, and that was somebody who wanted to become stronger in body and soul. And I hope that this journey helps them. But I saw a lot of people looking to lose weight, and I hear that a lot at the Y. And I think they forget how much mindfulness and being present in the moment can make a difference with that. Mm-hmm. I've coached lose-it teams. And when we do that, one of the first things we'll suggest is to keep a food diary. So think about what you're eating, when you're eating it, why are you eating it? Are you tired? Are you bored? Are you angry? Are you depressed? If we, think about why we're eating something, we're going to maybe have second thoughts on what we're putting into our body. And you also want to think about, what are you putting into your body? Are you putting in the fuel that your engine needs? Or are you just putting in the closest thing that's sitting next to you, and it's not going to help? When I talk to people, when I do activate consultations at the Y, where we sit down and help them get started on their wellness journey, and we talk about the food intake, I say, think of you have a jar, and this is how much food you can get into for one day. What are you going to put in there first? The most important things. Put in the protein, put in the fiber. Then you're looking at, maybe complex carbohydrates. All that other stuff, those empty calories, once you put those things in, you might not want those other things. So really put the important things in first that you need. And if you're not mindful about your eating, if you're not really taking the time and you're just driving through McDonald's and grabbing what you can and shoving it down your throat while you're driving down the road, there is a whole lot of calories there that you could have gotten healthier some other way. So really think about it. Why do I think I need to stop at Culver's? Or why am I eating this when it's 9 o'clock at night? I get it. I was a journalist. I was on deadline. And that was the hardest time, was you're sitting there trying to crank out a story, and it's 9 o'clock going on 10, and you're tired, and you're just shoving something in your mouth to keep yourself awake. So as long as you're not working or driving, maybe a better option is to just take a little nap, take a rest, step away. It really makes a difference if you think about what you're eating when it comes to that weight loss. I also saw a lot of things in there, stress reduction, and I cannot stress how important it is to be mindful. I had a guy come up to me at the Y. He said, if you live in the past, you're depressed. If you live in the future, you're anxious. Live in the present. And if we can, that is a hard concept, but if we can really get ourselves there, we will enjoy life so much more. And the woman that I was talking to earlier today who just couldn't get out of her head, she was living in the past of what she used to do, what she could do, and looking into the future of what she can't do, what she wants to do, but she doesn't think she'll be able to. But yet in the present moment, she might be able to achieve something beautiful. And that's hard. I've gone through cancer. I've gone through the treatment. I remember the day when I didn't know what the future was. But I chose to just take each moment as it came. And that was my saving grace. I didn't look ahead thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. My kids maybe did. I didn't. That's because I don't look things up on the internet until I know what's going on. But you take it a day at a time. And when you're talking about being mindful and eating, so think of how much do we actually enjoy our food. That was one of the first things that I changed when I was diagnosed with cancer. I became a more mindful eater. So they say you should take 20 minutes to eat a meal. Take a bite, put the fork down, enjoy it. No devices, just enjoy it. And that's hard. I did it for a while. It gets harder as I get further out from cancer. But being very mindful about those moments, being present in those moments.
I love that. I mean, you're right. We are always on to the next thing. We're on to the next fire. We're on to the next something. And when was the last time we sat down and understood not only what we are fueling our bodies with, but enjoying the food without being multitasking? There's a lot of people out there that I know came through the surveys, nutrition, that bored eating, just mindlessly eating and not being mindful. So right. Thank you.
Yes.
Carol, why is mindfulness and being present so important to you?
It really became important to me when I was going through the recovery process during my cancer treatment. And I remember the day I came home. I was home from surgery, and I was sitting on our front porch, and I've sat there how many years before? Decades. Looked out, seen the same thing. But that day, I remember sitting there, and it was just like Dorothy coming from Kansas and walking into Munchkin Land, and everything lit up and was bright and colorful and cheery. The flowers were brighter, the smells were more intense, everything was clearer. It's like when my son got contacts and he goes, oh my gosh, everything's so cool, it's so bright. and that just, we think of a toddler. I have a grandson. My youngest grandson is younger than 2 years. And everything is, oh, wow. We lose that. And if we could just get some of that back and just appreciate the little things like, the birds out in the yard, or I feed the birds, so we have a lot of sunflowers that just automatically pop up. And my biggest thrill is seeing those first ones pop up every day. and then watching them grow and getting taller. Dragonflies. I spent a summer in a hammock recovering from treatment watching dragonflies. And it was the most amazing thing I can remember. And even now I'm sad if I don't have as much time to do it. But yet they're fascinating. And we don't, when we're rushing through from one thing to the next, when we pack our schedules so tight, we don't have that time for that wonder and awe that we shouldn't wait to experience. We shouldn't wait till a cancer diagnosis, a serious diagnosis, forces us into appreciating that. And if we could come into every day with that wonder and awe of, oh my gosh, what's today going to bring? How exciting is today going to be? The sun is out. Even if the sun's not out, maybe, you wake up in a good mood, or find a way to bring yourself into a good mood. If we could just learn how to channel that more often, we'd be happier. We'd have less stress. Mentally, we'd be healthier. And I can't help but think that if we are mentally healthier, our physical health would follow.
I love how we keep referencing toddlers or children throughout this Stronger Together challenge, because it's so true. We need to go back to our youth. We need to find our youth. Not only do we want our youth from an activity level standpoint, but we need to be more mindful of where everything was just amazing and there was no darkness, right? When you're young, there's no darkness. There's no barriers. There's no wicked witch on our shoulder. There's no Katie, in our videos. And I love the fact that you reference the odds, because it's so perfect with what's going on in our videos right now for the Stronger Together challenge. But we need to find our inner child, our inner youth, the one that never told ourselves no.
Right. And, when we're looking at our fitness journey, why does it have to be hard work? Can't it be fun work?
Yes.
I'm not a very serious person, so when they come into my class, they know it's going to be silly and goofy, but it's going to be fun, and we're going to work, and we're going to get something done. But in the meantime, we've had a good time, and we've lifted our spirits, and we've gained some strength. Mm-hmm. We can do a lot of things that doesn't have to be 10 repetitions of a bicep curl, 10 tricep kickbacks. You can get that same strength in other ways that are more fun and more functional. Mm-hmm. We forget about the functionality of exercise.
We forget to have fun. Like you talk about not having, let's not just go into routine, and we want to try different things. And we forget that our journey is all about having fun. And if we're having fun, we'll stick with something. If it's a chore and it's something that we don't like, we won't stick with it. So we have a shorter journey.
Very true.
What is some advice for someone that can't get out of their actual routine, day-to-day routine, and can't think outside the box, or maybe they've lost interest and they don't know where to start?
Well, the first thing I would suggest is talk to a fitness professional at the Y, of course. Try different classes. Look up something that you have always wondered about but never really thought you would give it a try. And just be open to different things. I can't swim. But when I heard about a group of female cancer survivors training for a sprint triathlon in Team Phoenix, I thought, okay, this sounds like a good reason to learn how to swim. You can't close doors. Mm-hmm. You have to really be open to other things. And if you aren't having fun, you are going to quit. And if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. Mm-hmm. So if you're not getting the results you want, something has to change. Your diet, your sleep. We forget about how important sleep is. And as I am teaching multiple classes during the week and I'm training for a sprint triathlon, I have to listen to my body so that I get the rest and the nutrition that I need. We forget about that. Maybe as far as, getting out of your head and trying to find something new, you just have to be a little brave once in a while, I think. Step out of your comfort zone. That is where you begin to see change. When you step out of your comfort zone, you're going to start to see change. And maybe it's with a few extra reps, But maybe it's just trying something different. If you're working the muscles in the same pattern all the time, that's all they're going to know how to do.
Yeah.
If you don't change it up into a different format, a different pattern, some kind of cross-training, you could easily hurt yourself when you think you're the fittest person in the gym.
I would go back to those people that just mindfulness is so foreign to them, or they just don't think they can do it, and they just don't know how to do it. They don't know how to turn off their brain and just be present. What advice do you give them? What's that first step they can take to start incorporating that?
Good question. I think the first thing is we have to forget that it's just being present in the moment. That's what mindfulness is. And yes, if you have a whole lot of things going on in your head, breathe. That's how I start every Tai Chi class. We ground ourselves in our feet, and sometimes people will close their eyes, and we focus on the breath coming in and out. And in yoga, we use the ocean breath, so maybe you'll hear that breath coming in and out. Just slow the breathing down. Make the exhale longer than the inhale. If police and military can use breathing techniques to reduce stress, to lower their blood pressure, to slow down their pulse in extremely intense situations, we should be able to use it every day to bring ourselves into the moment that we need to be in. And the best suggestions I can give are breathing. I practice it every day when I come into work. As I'm driving in, I'll take a few deep breaths and I'll take a deeper exhale. Think about what you do when you're stressed. What do? You go, you sigh. Mm-hmm. So slow down, take a big breath, feel your lungs expand, feel your abdomen expand, and then use those muscles to push everything out and completely empty yourself of that air. Swim. Breathing, swimming, connected. And interestingly enough, as I am learning how to swim, you think you have to work hard, but with swimming, you have to be relaxed. Mm-hmm. And if you're not relaxed, you're going to sink. I've experienced it. So that mindfulness, that relaxing yourself, getting your, thinking, stop it, just slow it down, relax. If you're in the pool, that makes a huge difference. And of course, you have to focus on the breathing there, otherwise you're drowned. And it's really bad. But the first step, breathe, slow it down. Literally, if you have to stop, do it. But you can do that anywhere. You can be standing in a line that's not moving as fast as you want it to. Take a big breath in, and then a deep exhale. And after a few of those, you're going to feel your mind start to clear, and your body will start to relax.
Carol, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
If you want the listeners to leave with one important statement, what would that be?
Be open to change. We hate change, but it's what's going to make our life more exciting, more interesting, and more worth the journey. If I had not been open to all the changes, I wouldn't be where I am right now. I'd never anticipated I would be full-time at the Y as a trainer, as a fitness specialist. But I was open to every opportunity that came before me, and I went after it. And if you close your mind and you only follow one path, and you don't think about what if this, what if that, that's, as a journalist, you're always asking what if, who, what, when, where, how. If you're not open to that, you're going to miss opportunities that might be amazing and right in front of you. You can't be afraid to try.
We are so lucky to work with you, Carol, on a day-to-day basis. I am so blessed to, have my path crossed with yours. For those of you that would love to spend a little bit more time with Carol, you know where to find her. She's at the McGuanago YMCA. She has mentioned all of the amazing programs and services that she is part of. And she is literally, and I apologize that I am speaking tons of accolades on you, but it's just her passion, what she does, this is real. And she literally blesses everyone that she comes into contact with, and we love her. So if you know Carol, give her a pat on the back for all of her hard work and everything that she does. And if you haven't met her yet, please reach out.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Strong Minds, Strong Bodies this week.
This podcast was brought to you by YMCA of Greater Waukesha County.
Don't forget to follow the podcast so you can hear more each week on the conversation of health and wellness. We hope to see you in our Facebook group, and we'd love to interact with you there. And check out your weekly email for lots more tips and activities that you can do to stay on track toward your goals.